Hey, this is Alexis with AIC Home Solutions. The main purpose of this video is for professional development and training purposes for our internal team. But we did want to create this video and share with everybody in hopes that you could gain something and better your entire your personal business process and systems when it comes to the sales team. So in our team, in the previous video, we did go over our flow chart, our system that we follow, right, when it comes to the inbound leads. And there's a full video breaking this down just as from a visual perspective. But for the purpose of this call, we did want to go over what that looks like from a script perspective, right? What is it that we say? The flow chart doesn't have all of the meats and potatoes, so this is the purpose of this video here. So for our team, we always make sure that we are entering the call with a warm introduction, making sure that the seller knows who we are, who they're speaking to, who are we coming with, right? What company we're representing. And then that allows us to already, create some type of rapport. And then this is the first time you hear them talk, right? So you're able to internalize who these people are, and then you're already hearing on what state they may be as you're entering the call. So for our team, we have an introduction. Give like, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. My name is blank with blank. Calling for our set appointment. How are you doing today? Right, listening, matching, and mirroring what they're saying. Great to hear. And then really smiling over the phone. Right, great to hear, because through the phone you're able to hear when you're smiling in the other line. And when it comes to you know the sales over the phone, all you got is hearing them, listening, and hearing their tonality, because you don't have the ability of being face to face, seeing the body language and seeing how they're acting. So listening to that is super important. And then we go straight to confirming the seller's address. But in our team, we actually put that on the seller. We set the expectation of what to expect, and then we go straight to asking for their address, because the first thing we're doing is essentially giving them a task and seeing how they're going to respond, because that's going to tell us a lot about the seller going into this call. So just to give you an overview of our process, I will be one of the last people you speak with before an offer. Before we get started, would you mind confirming the address of your home to ensure we're referring to the same house, right? So right away, if you're gonna hear, right, if they're engaged, if they're resisting, or if they're matching, and then hopefully you're able to get the confirmation. Perfect, we're referring to the same home, and now we're able to move forward into the next state, right? Now that we confirmed that we're referring to the same home. So the first thing, we go into question master mode, like we saw in the flow chart, and then we're asking a certain questions that are not super intrusive, but it starts telling us a lot about what's happening with the home and their situation. So from here, the first thing, you want to check the notes, because they're already letting us know what it is. I see here this is a rental or a personal property. Is this correct? Yes, this is actually a rental. Then we could go into, is it occupied or vacant, right? How long has it been vacant for? Or if it's occupied, are they, are they there month to month? When does the lease expire, right? And then if it's a personal residence, we're going more like, how long have you owned this home, right? Because, well, first, if it's a rental, you already know that the seller may not have a real attachment, as if it was a personal them living there. Right now, we know there's a separation, and now we're figuring out, well, why are they selling a rental, and that's part of the discovery, right? And if it's a personal residence, then we want to know how long they've owned it for, so that we're able to distinguish, like, what's the time frame, and why is it that they're selling, whether it's a longer time or lower time, right? So if it's less than 10 years, but you're asking them, how long have you owned this home, right? And they're like, if it's less than 10 years, then you want to respond like, wow, that is not such a long time. What is causing you to sell so quickly? And here's the part where you, as the buyer, as the caller, you gotta listen, like, listen, match, and mirror, and keep listening, so that you're really digging into the motivation. Here's where you just shut up. Okay. And if it's, because if it's less than 10 years, sometimes it's 2 years, 1 year, then you want to know, why is it that they're selling so quickly? And if it's been more than 10 years, then you already know there's, potentially there's more equity, and then now there's might be some reason why they're moving after such a long time. So you want to, like, if it's more than 10 years, wow, congrats, you had this for a long time. Like, what is costing you to sell this home after such a long time? And again, listening, matching, and mirroring, so you could really go into the motivation. And, some of the possible motivations might be financial hardship, divorce, pre-foreclosure, it was inherited, I don't want to deal with it. I'm downsizing, it's too big. I'm an empty nester now. So you're listening. I'm in retirement. This is something I'm trying to use to go into retirement, etc. So you want to make sure that you're asking all of those things, right? And then you go into the timeline. So let me ask you this. I'm assuming you're looking to sell by, and then I usually push 6 months. Like if it's like mid-year, by Christmas, by Thanksgiving, by New Year's, right? Um, just so that they're able to tell you, no, like I'm actually trying to sell like tomorrow. Like if I could close tomorrow, we're good to go, right? Or no, I'm actually not in such a high like urgency as far as time. I'm more like 6 months out, 8 months out. Then you're able to gauge how you're going to strategically follow up with the seller. And then from there, super important that we get this out of the way, but you want to check your software. We use PropStream to kind of see who's on title. But you get into the discovery mode, you want to make sure that you figure out whether there's going to be somebody else that's going to be a part of this decision other than the person on the phone, because you don't want to go through all the hardships of discovering, doing due diligence, doing all of that homework, when in reality that you should be talking to all of the stakeholders, right? Whether that's the spouse, whether that's their kids, whether it's whoever, or their partner, business partner. You want to make sure that you have all the people, all the decision makers in one call to be able to overcome any objections that may come up. So you want to make sure that you ask Mr. Seller, I see you and blank are on title. Will you be the main decision maker, or should we make also say take some time to speak with, or to whomever, right? So at that point, you're letting it out, and you're able to gauge and also notate it, because you'll be able to use this in later down the call, or later down as you're negotiating. And a lot of times some sellers try to make that the excuse, but then you go back to that. It's like, well, I thought you were the main decision maker. What happened? I'm confused. Then from there, right? We got out of the way. We got the motivation. We know exactly when they're looking to sell it. We know the reason why. We know all that. The decision makers. Now you're going into discovery as far as like what's the condition of the home. At the end of the day, even though condition and price are not the main two pillars in our mind, it is really motivation and timeline. That's what's going to make somebody move, right, and make an action step. This is something that you really need to know in order to know how much rehab this house needs, whether you're going to have an end buyer, letting them know what's needed, or even if you want to take it down yourself, right, and acquire yourself as a rental. Now you're knowing what is it that you're looking into. So in this case, right, these are sample notes, but you would essentially obviously look at the specifics of your home notes, and then if there's anything missing, we'll put in a note here. Like, just make sure that you're looking at everything below, right? Like, make sure that if any of this was missing on the notes, whether it's the roof, the foundation, HVAC condition, and time of existence, windows, plumbing, electrical, and then also parking, right? Is it a real garage? Is it attached, detached garage? Is it just off on-site parking, etc. So from there, once you have that, now you could really use that to kind of as part of like your reasons and your ammunition when going into the next section, which is the price, right? So you want to do a really good job recapping this and exploiting any parts that is like, whoa, like the roof is old, the HVAC's not working, the electrical might have to be adjusted, et cetera, et cetera. So you're making those marks because that will be a cost that you will have to accrue. So what, and as soon so recap, and then going into the price. And you said, oh, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, I'm assuming you already have a price in mind. What are you looking to get for this one? For you? and then again, listen. And then once they give you a number, it's really important that you mirror with this emphasis, like $250,000, right? And pausing, because now they're gonna be like, "Well, what's wrong? Like, I guess am I too high? Am I too low?" Like then the suspense pause, right? Like, and sometimes they start speaking on their own. But once you get to that medium, price and kind of hear them out on why they landed on that number, then you ask this. It's super important to have like an initial confirmation, verbal confirmation, right? That they're really serious and that they're not just like throwing a number and then not wanting to move forward. So we do ask this question. Let me ask you this: if I were able to, we were able to agree on price, would you be able to put it on writing? And then sometimes like, I don't know, well, I have to check with all these offers, blah, blah, blah. Or that tells you, like, if do they have more offers? Are they, thinking about other options? Or are they the type of seller that is just like, look, if I could just get this number, I'm ready to go. And that's what the confirmation that you want to be able to, go to the next step as far as due diligence and then being able to put something on writing, right? So, and then sometimes if they like they give you pushback, we like to use the line like, "Look, my underwriter's gonna ask this, so that's what I'm asking. I'm not trying to go send them a file, and then they're gonna be asking me if you're even serious, right?" So like really kind of position yourself in that manner so that they know the why behind that question, and then you're listening for that as well because you want to make sure they're serious. And then for the next one is just discovering if there's an existing mortgage, right? Like, what are really all the options that they have? Do they just have cash offer? That is a possibility, is or retail buyer program, right? Or novation. And if the mortgage question is really allowing you, like, are there more options that we could present that could yield them to the highest number or the desired number that they're looking for based on what they need, right? Um, and then we kind of start with assuming something, right? So I'm assuming you still have a mortgage on this property, and if they say yes, you go like more. You gotta dig a little deeper. Okay, perfect, no worries. Approximately how much is left on the mortgage? You can give me a ballpark figure because a lot of times like, well, I don't know exactly. Well, ballpark figure, where is it at? And sometimes I even try to add like the interest rate to kind of know in case they're aware. And then if no, then make a note, right? Because now seller finance may be a potential offer option for the seller. So you're notating that, you're ensuring that you're making these remarks in your notes so that you know that, look, we can present the cash offer. Hopefully it works. If not, we have the retail buyer program or innovation. If that doesn't work and they're like really pushing the price, then maybe we could do something more creative with the seller finance subject to, etc. And the next one is, oh, and I'm assuming you will need the proceeds of the sale for your next step. Is this correct? And this is such a great question because this essentially tells you what's the immediate cash need, right? Like, do they need all of it in lump sum based on what they're needing? Or are they needing just like 10,000, 20,000, right? And okay with extending the duration that they're receiving the remaining balance, and then they maybe position themselves as a bank. So that you want to hear for that, right? And again, we put a note here for our team. This will let you know whether there's a pain, right, in meeting cash need, or is it more of a game play, right? Potential creative to buyer program situation for the seller. Perfect. That makes sense. I will make sure we note that so we could help you with, getting that 20,000, getting that car paid off, getting, that RV that you've been looking for retirement, and you could go explore the world, right? So you filling that out. And then now we're kind of getting closer to the close of the call, and putting the next steps. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, seems like I have mostly everything to submit the file to the underwriters, right? However, I know exactly how my underwriters work when reviewing these files, right? And typically in the past, the clients whom I have been able to get the highest offer possible for them is when they have been able to provide 25 to 30 clear pictures of the home. And what has been able to help them even more has been a video of the overall home. Is this something you think you could send me in order for me to help you get the highest possible offer for your home? Right? So you're essentially now asking for them to do another thing for you, right? You started with asking them with something, you made it up to this point. Now you're gonna feel more confident about asking for something else. And in this case, we're asking for 25 to 30 clear pictures because now we heard the condition. They told us what's wrong with the house, but then now you also are putting on the underwriters, right? The underwriters are the ones that are gonna ask me for this. So in this case, we ask for those 25 to 30 pictures to confirm that the condition that they express and outline actually checks off, right? And then the other cool thing is that now that you have the pictures, you're not having to send a boots on the ground person or go trying to chase pictures of the property. You're already getting them at the beginning, and you're able to use those down the line in case you needed to market the property. So, oh yes, right? And then right away, if they say yes, you're looking for the yes right away. When is like you're pushing the sense of urgency? When is the earliest time you could send me these photos? After our call or later today? I'm not saying I'm not even trying to let them tell me another date. Is either after our call or later today, right? And then if they need to push back, then they'll push back, and then you repeat the why again. Okay, great, right? I will send you a text message to outline the different places you should help me capture in the 25 to 30 pictures after our call. Please send them to me as soon as possible in order to expedite your file with the underwriters. How does that sound? Right? Again, you're telling them the why. Hey, I want to push the sense of urgency. Like, please send me these as soon as you can, so I could submit this file and expedite it for you. Right? How does that sound? And then wait for the response and say, great, sounds good. I'll be looking for that. And we do have a template for this that we have under that we'll check it out right now. And then from here, now we're asking for permission because most of our sellers are coming looking for a fast cash offer, but a lot of the times the cash offer is not going to work for them just because it's a lower offer at the end of the day, right? It's cash. But in this case, we're asking for permission if we could explore any other options, and this is how we do it. So, lastly, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, would it be okay with you if I submit your file for all possible programs that you could qualify for? Perhaps there's another program that could yield you a higher net offer. Would that be okay with you? And then we put wait for responses because sometimes they're like, oh yeah, like more options that could yield you more. It's pretty straightforward for many of them. They're like, yes. But then there's some of them are like, well, what do you mean by other programs? Or, well, I'm not sure what programs you're referring to. And this is what we get to say, right? Well, I'm not sure yet. I would just submit your file and let the underwriters look for any possible program that could give you the highest possible net number in addition to the cash offer. How does that sound? And most of the time, again, you get to yes, yeah, that's fine. Say, okay, great. I will make sure to do that for you, right? And if they're like really, really pushing, no, I just want cash, I just want cash, then you gotta make that note, okay? And then lastly, we go closing and setting the next appointment. You already set business stature, making sure that you have a specific time and day that you're gonna hop on the call to give them the offer, so that they're not like ghosting you at this point. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, thank you for giving me all of your, some of your time to begin to finalizing your file. As we set up for our next time, I will be sending you a text with what to expect from the 25 to 35 pictures. You will send to me by whenever they say after our call, by later today, no later than tomorrow. And as soon as I receive those pictures, I will expedite your file for an offer. When is the best day? When's the best time of day to reach you in case we were able to give you an offer, right? In case we were able to give you an offer. So now we're like, hey, when is it the times? Listen, notate their times, and then, okay, perfect. I'll be sure to give you a call at those times once I know I have an offer to present to you. And then that's kind of more of the broad, but then if they're like usually at the time and you already know you're kind of in the money, I try to put the appointment the same day, later down the day. So I ask them like, well, how about today? How does your schedule look like for today, right? Or what about tomorrow? Is there any time tomorrow? I just want to make sure that we expedite this file for you. And then, okay, perfect. I'll make sure to text you and call you at those times. I'll offer you have a wonderful day. And then, they're like, thank you. We keep moving forward. And then for our team, we're very like, it's all about systems, all about processes. So we have a follow-up SMS that we send right away to set the expectation in order to give them the highest offer. So the samples are, hi, thank you for taking the time to taking the call with me today. Per our call, our action steps are as follows. In order to submit your file for an offer, action steps are as follows. And then we outline the 25 to 35 clear pictures. And then we set the expectation of what to take the pictures of, because a lot of the times some of these sellers just take a picture of the outside and like it's 25 pictures of that, and then maybe like the floor, and then you're like, oh my god, like this doesn't help me. I'm in the same place. So by outlining, letting them know exactly what you're expecting for that highest offer possible, you lay it out in front of the house with curb appeal, side of the house, back of the house, and most of the pictures of inside the house: kitchen, living room, bedrooms, bathrooms, and the 2-car garage. In this case, there was actually car conversion, but garage or basement, and the car garage basement. Please let me know if you have some time. If you can send me these today or tomorrow to expedite your file. Thank you, and then your name, right? And and then sometimes if we already know, like we talked about in the flow chart, if we have an idea like, man, this might not work, and they're open to other options, we sometimes ask them for a copy of the recent mortgage statement to see if they can qualify for additional programs, so that you can already do your homework. You do the cash offer, you do the retail offer, and then you can go straight to figuring out, like, is there a mortgage in place or not? What is the interest rate? Can we do a subject to agreement for sale to take over the payments? Or is this free and clear? Can we just structure, a win-win situation where you still find a way to give them the immediate cash need that they have, and at the same time, right, being able to maybe give them more by positioning them to be the bank. And then for you, on the other side, you have the ability to have terms that are more favorable at the grand scope of things. Still a win-win for both parties, right? You give them what they needed, but they're also favorable as you, as the investor or the acquisitions person, to have the option to either find an end buyer where those terms are going to be awesome for them to acquire themselves, or do their exit strategy, or for you to take down yourself as a company, right? If you like it and you're like, man, I can cash for day one, have some equity, and then maybe have 60 to 120 months to even pay that out, have the house appreciate, and make a good deal over time. But again, this is for professional development purposes, training purposes for our team. We did want to share with everybody. I think there's a lot of things we've learned from a lot of different people in the industry. They're mentors of ours. They're always supporting us, helping us out. We're looking to become 1% better. So we're hopeful that you guys are able to take at least one component out of this and find value. And we will also probably put a PDF copy of this. But again, make sure that you anything that has to do with legal work or anything like that, make sure that you talk to your tax advisor, tax person, legal person, just to ensure that you're in good standing when using any of these documents. But again, hope this helps, and looking forward to the next video. Have a great day.